Okay.
Hi, my name is Jenny, and the topic of the journal I'm going to present is the effects of visual enhancement on attribute, benefit, desirability, and brand perception measures, implications for reliability and validity. This is a proper citation of my journal, and the authors are Clancy K.J. and Rubino S. Here is an outline for my presentation. First is the introduction, then I'll present the questions in this research, and the methodology, the results, followed by the discussion. Okay, so I will introduce to you the background information and purpose of this research. Advertising, marketing, and public opinion researchers routinely investigate consumer needs and brand perceptions using this so-called attribute or benefit research. Okay, and practitioners use the result of this research to formulate strategies in their field. And in this research, respondents are asked to rate their desirability and brand perceptions for different product benefits. And these product benefits are classified into two categories: the intangible benefits and tangible benefits. And I will explain these two terms to help you understand better. Okay, so tangible benefit is a benefit that is immediately obvious and measurable. So these benefits are often clear and objective. For example, if I say that this battery lasts for 3 hours, or this car can go for certain miles per second, so these are quite obvious and measurable. So these are examples of tangible benefit. An intangible benefit is a benefit that is difficult to measure, sometimes refers to an emotional characteristic. So this is more like psychological traits. For example, if I say that this pair of jeans can make you look more masculine, okay, or this pair of jeans will help you attract the opposite sex, and this is hard to measure. You can't really measure how masculine a person feels. Okay, so these are examples of intangible benefits. Okay, so this kind of research suggested that an emotional campaign might not represent a powerful strategy. So by using these emotional traits, probably won't be so successful in advertising. However, some of the most successful advertising campaigns of the last 50 years have been based on intangibles. For example, McDonald's, they use slogans such as, "I'm loving it." Okay, and Starbucks use sophistication. If you drink our coffee, you'll feel more sophisticated. So they have been very successful. So it seems that the result of this research doesn't really match consumer needs. So this raises the question: how valid and how reliable is the traditional verbal stimuli methodology that dominates the contemporary marketing research? And I think some of you already know what validity and reliability are. However, I'll explain briefly in terms of advertising. So reliability in advertising means the extent to which a commercial or print advertisement earns a similar score when it is tested 2 or more times. And what really matters to practitioners is aggregate level stability. So what interests the researchers is if they can get the same result or conclusion if they test a group of people 2 or more times, not just individuals. And when it comes to validity, we have to ask ourselves: are we measuring what we purport to measure? And does it reflect consumer needs? And as we all know, the result of this benefit research doesn't seem to reflect consumer needs. So the authors of this journal try to figure out what the problem of this research is. And they think that current attribute benefit research methodology understates the true value of emotional intangible appeals and overstates the value of rational tangible product appeals. So they think the problem lies here, the understatement of intangible appeals. And why do people understate these emotional traits? There are two possible explanations. First is the social desirability effects. And this means the tendency for people to underreport the traits that they feel uncomfortable discussing. For example, if I say, as I mentioned, the feeling of masculine. Some people, they're shy, or they don't want to admit that they want to look or feel masculine, or they want to be more sexually attractive. So these might affect the result. And the second possible explanation would be the absence of visual enhancement. Okay, so if I just tell you that this pair of jeans can make you look more masculine, would you want to purchase this product? Or if I show you a picture of a man, a muscular man wearing the pair of jeans, would you want to buy it more? So the writers wanted to focus on this visual enhancement. Okay, so the questions in this research they wanted to answer. First, does the choice of stimuli make a difference? So written versus visual, okay? And the second question, assuming that the visual stimulus does matter, does the choice of material make a difference? And are the effects of written versus visual material different for the desirability ratings and then for the brand perception measures? The fourth question, are the effects different for tangible versus intangible attributes? Are the effects different for different product categories? And last, how stable are attribute benefit ratings and what, if anything, can be said about their validity? And the methodology they applied, they conducted personal survey with a cross-sectional sample of 700 adult men and women in the Boston metropolitan area. Yes. And the survey lasts for 45 minutes and lasts for a 2-week period. And the respondents were asked to rate 2 5-point scales. In a desirability scale, 5-point means extremely desirable, and 1 means not at all desirable. And in a brand perception scale, an expensive brand in that category is selected, and the respondents have to rate how each trait can describe this brand or represent this brand. So 5 means completely describes the brand, and 1 means not at all. Okay? And they use this interesting approach, a shuffle deck sorting board approach, and I'll explain that further. And the statistical method they use is repeated measures ANOVA. Okay, so the 3 categories they selected are beverage alcohol, they use gin specifically, and credit cards and presidential candidates. These are the 3 categories. And they have 6 show cards representing 6 characteristics. So 1 trait on 1 card. There are 3 tangible traits and 3 intangible traits. And these cards are shuffled to minimize order effects and acquiescence response set effects. This means that they try to reduce the tendency for people to agree or disagree irrespective of the content. Okay? There's supposed to be animation for this, but it didn't show up. Okay, so for each product category, there are 3 decks of cards with the same 6 traits. And the first deck has 6 traits with words only, and the second deck has traits with written statement under an appropriate photograph. And the third deck has the same 6 traits with words coupled with an alternative photograph. So the photograph for the last 2 decks are actually different. Okay? And the results of this research. First, tangible traits are rated as more desirable than the intangible traits in all 3 categories. This is similar to the previous findings. And the choice of stimulus has little effect on desirability and brand perception measures. And this failure of visual conditions has an effect for both tangible and intangible characteristics. So these 2 results are not anticipated by the writers because they thought visual stimuli could have an effect, but it didn't. Okay, the last result. The reliability of this data is relatively high in the aggregate. This is computed by correlating pairs of mean ratings for the attributes and benefits across different conditions. And discussion. Further research might tackle this issue in a different way, perhaps examine the individual stability or reliability. Or they could focus on social desirability considerations, as I mentioned earlier. Okay, so these 2 are not examined in their research. The choice of a desirability scale over a more traditional importance measure may have affected the findings. So in the future research, they could use different methods or measures to tackle this issue. Okay, that's all. Thank you for your attention.
Very good. Can you go back to your first slide? And waiting for the Q&A. Right? Questions, please. Just the first slide. Yes, and waiting for the Q&A. Okay, stop.